Oh no, boys and girls, it is the weather report for February 14th, 2022. And I don't know what's happening today. I guess a few things. What's happening? So Riddle Life had some guy on talking about evolution. I missed that. I'm not sure if I'm subscribed to that evolution channel that Rebecca has or whatever. And over the weekend, Sal Cordova had a bunch of stuff going on. The only thing that I seized on was this blog surfing that he's doing with this guy. And I can't find the guy's name. The blog is called Shadow to Light. And it's a WordPress. So Shadow to Light WordPress is what you have to search for. And he's got a bunch of really bad arguments against new atheism and against P.Z. Myers. And so there's that. And that's kind of where I got the title for where I got the thumbnail for today's show. You know, no purpose. If you don't have a purpose, life is meaningless, blah, blah, blah. So what's your purpose, guys? What's, how do you handle meaning in life without a purpose? I don't know.
Well, my meaning in life is to be so obnoxiously approving and encouraging and loving of my grandkids that they'll just wonder why other people don't have such a great granddad.
Coming on this show every day, and that gives me complete meaning and purpose in my life. Participating in the show, yeah.
Okay, answers in atheism, right?
There you go. Stomping on Christians is what I love to do.
Yeah, answers in atheism. But
Calling
Scott,
bullshit. Yeah,
your grandkids are just little blobs of material cells. You know, I mean, how can you love them?
They are the cutest blobs you ever saw, man. I could just pinch those little blobsy cheeks all day long, chase them down the hallway while they squeak and giggle.
Okay.
But I also like to read up on science, read up on, biblical archaeology and stuff like that, because that's what I'm educated. I'm educated in, religious stuff. So I do like ancient Near Eastern history and things like that. So, I believe in seeking knowledge and sharing knowledge whenever I can.
Yeah, mine is being able to do anything almost.
Well, my purpose in life is to learn to live life without purpose.
There you go.
Because
nothing wrong with that.
If you get too hung up on the purpose, then you don't end up doing the thing, right? So when I get up in the morning, instead of deciding that, I have to learn everything there is to know about molecular biology, instead of doing that, I just start reading molecular biology. And there's the Buddhism again. That there's a difference between those two things.
Just kind of let it flow, right? Kind of like a let it flow type of thing, right?
Do what you can in the moment and understand that, a truck could drop on you or a tree could drop on you tomorrow.
That's right.
And it can make no fucking difference how much you learned about molecular biology.
That's right. You never know. Yep.
Yeah.
I think we need to give 100% to Nerdy Rodent. He came up with the exact right answer.
There you go. Being a nice like that. Fucking A. Answers in atheism right here. That's where you get your answers in atheism.
Way to go, Nerdy Rodent. You get your own parking spot at the production office.
Yeah. So is that the right button? That is the right button. Okay. So this blog, Shadow to Light, and I guess I'm not going to put a link to every article. Well, maybe I should. So the first one that not the first one, but in the middle, they start picking on PZ Myers because PZ Myers has a video where he admits that he was denied tenure at a university, and they call him a failed researcher because he was denied tenure. And I believe I haven't watched the whole PZ Myers video yet. I didn't have time, but PZ Myers was making the case that, hey guys, people are denied tenure for other reasons than that you are a creationist. You know, if you don't have a good fit with the university, you won't get tenure. And so if they deny a creationist, it isn't because of some great conspiracy. And that's the point that PZ Myers was making. But of course, Sal and this guy go on about, oh, he's a failed researcher and he was denied tenure and all this bullshit. And, which is exactly the opposite of the point. And then they said that it's impossible to find anything about PZ Myers being denied tenure at this university, and because it happened in 1998 and nobody gives a fuck. Nobody cares, right? That's why you can't find news articles on it. But they claimed there was a conspiracy cover-up that he was denied tenure, right?
Well, you know, the reason why this is a deal for them is that they are propagandists.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
They
want
their purpose is to find dirt on actual scientists.
So. They wish there was something there so they could throw that dirt out there. Exactly. Yeah. And there isn't anything there, right?
Yep.
So yeah, and then it's a conspiracy. They're being persecuted. Poor little Christians are being persecuted all the time.
Yeah. So it's another one from PZ Myers. I noted the moral posturing of atheist PZ Myers. So Sal reads this. PZ Myers says these are delusions. No, wait a minute. Who says that? Somebody else says that. Cloud Harry? Somebody. These are delusions in an atheistic reality. If God belief is a delusion, so too is this mushy sense of ought. You know, which is... So PZ Myers uses, let me see here, we're at 2237. Is that the beginning of it? I think. Hang on a second. My site is muted. And I'm going to end up with an echo. Let me fix a few things.
Which is an intelligent design book. Mike pointed out that it's below kind of the brutal irony.
Oh no, that's a materialism thing. I'm trying to figure out where he starts talking about
atheist PZ and evidence for God, or some kind of repeating. These are some of more of his recent essays. There's some other great stuff that he has. So I'll just read this.
It's really bad.
Just take a moment and acknowledge Jefferson's
moral duty and evidence for God. Okay. Earlier, I noted the moral posturing of atheist PZ Myers and its intrinsic irony. These are delusions. Okay, this is Mike writing earlier. These are delusions in an atheistic reality. If belief is a delusion, so too is this mushy sense of ought. There's no basis for it beyond personal sentiments of the believers. Yet Myers builds his whole life around it. He's passionate about it. He comes to us as a true believer in his own sense of moral duty. He comes as a crusader, yet mocks those who believe in God. And then someone...
Okay. Let's unpack that a little bit. So what is he's saying that... So they seem offended anytime an atheist comes out with a moral stance or a moral opinion or a moral crusade like humanism. So what the fuck is he saying? If you're an atheist, you have no right to have an opinion, a moral opinion, because if you do, it's just your opinion, right? But when is it not your fucking opinion when you do something moral, right? And what is wrong with the fact that it's your opinion?
Yep.
I mean, what they're trying to say is that every atheist should have an entirely independent morality, like an alien morality from all other human beings.
Right. Yeah. That's kind of what that's their train of thought. Yep.
Right. This moral relativism is considered just totally crazy off the rails. Yep. Anything goes kind of mentality.
Yeah, it's
They just want to dehumanize anybody that's not in their group.
Not in their group. But then when
Right.
you look at them and you look at their 35,000 Christian sects, and you look at the way the way these Baptists talk about their own Baptist church, the fight with McLean Bible College and all this other stuff. I mean, these guys within their own ranks, each one has a different opinion.
Yep.
Like Sal hates the McLean Bible Church because they have recently come out in favor of Black Lives Matter, and they've lightened up a little bit on the whole, kill the gays thing, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And least they could do, really. I mean, if you think about it.
Yeah. So I mean, what the hell? So with all of their subjective opinions, are they not as morally relativistic as anybody else?
Somewhere along the line, it just happened within. I think it happens in a lot of Muslim circles too. There's this idea that if your morality is in sync with, the big one, the big guy's morality, that's somehow objective. The problem is how they define objective, right? Like if objective is being defined in that kind of philosophical sense, meaning it exists independent of the existence of other minds, right? Like it would be good or bad regardless if anything alive was around to evaluate it as good or bad, right? It's just objectively good or bad. That can't be the case because God's always around, right? There's always a mind in their worldview. So there is no such thing as objective morality. They just think it's objective because, well, this being is completely certain and knows absolutely everything. So, and we've defined it as all good, so it will never steer you wrong. And it's like, you can't possibly know that. You can't verify that it's omniscient, and you can't verify any objectivity about its morality, because if it's grounded on that omniscience, you're back to square one, where you can't verify that. Anything could tell you that it was omniscient, and it could be right 99% of the time, and then eventually you're going to get to a point where you're not going to be able to prove whether or not it really does know everything or not. And that's just the first step. You have to get from that to everything it does is right. Like, okay, right, but it still doesn't change the fact that there's a mind and there's morality because of that mind. Therefore, morality is all subjective.
Yeah, and of course that is just God's opinion, So
right, it's God's just very well. It's his opinion, and it's very well informed, right? But yeah, they'll try to say like, well, no, you're making a category error. It's like, no, the category error was made when you tried to define God, even analogically, as a mind.
Yeah, I think the problem is this misunderstanding of what objective is and what it means.
Yeah,
and they take it to be, I don't know. Like,
well, I think in some cases because Jordan Peterson gets worked up about stuff like this, right? There has to be a standard that has always existed, that will always exist, that we can refer to, and it doesn't change or move with anything. But as has been illustrated to him, has been pointed out to him, there's actually a really great conversation between him and Stephen Fry, where Stephen Fry basically is like, no, we know for a fact that that's not what happens. You know that that's not what happens. Morality changes all the time.
Right.
So it's that morality is, how does Fry put it? Morality is manners, which if you use that around any of these apologists and lurking around YouTube and Clubhouse and stuff, that's so flippant, it drives them immediately into a rage.
Yeah. But I mean, we all end up like 99% of us end up with a strong moral similarity. And that's why we're able to go to the store together, no matter what religion we belong to, without killing each other, right?
Right, and that's usually where they'll ask, well, why is it, atheist, that you're not acting in consistent with your own worldview? And it's like, is my worldview so chaotic that I have to be completely inconsistent in all things that I do because I have no grounding?
Right. Every day you have to wake up and you have to put your pants on like legs first instead of waist first. And
yeah, they have that mindset of survival of the fittest type thing, right?
Yeah,
that's what they think atheists are. So we don't have any problem. We want to survive on, we're our own so-called God, as they say.
You just want to sin.
You want to just sin and kill people, and
Okay,
well, that's because whether or not they want to believe it, everybody gets their morals from their parents, their siblings, and the greater society around them. The local community. Local, or maybe slightly greater than local community, and that's the way it's always been. And then at some point, when you're able to think about things for yourselves or you gain life experience, that adjusts. But it doesn't adjust so wildly in most cases that you quote unquote have a different or chaotic morality. It's just
Right.
It's a distribution pattern.
And this is also a nature versus nurture is bullshit kind of discussion too, because all human beings that are raised and born to other human beings are born with the same genetics, the same tendencies, the same emotions, the same neurotransmitters, and we grow up in a community with extant members of our species, and we all end up pretty much doing the same thing. Just like raccoons will end up, acting in the same way as their parents. And it just ends up overall that morality is a thing that exists because we are human beings. That is the basis of morality. That's the foundation of morality. And it's a pretty fuzzy foundation, granted, but that's the way biology fucking works. It's always a little bit fuzzy. You're always going to find outliers. That's not a problem. Okay, it's not a problem for us. Outliers go to prison, hopefully. So anyway, or they go somewhere. But okay, so Sal starts out this stream last night by showing these wonderful memes that he wrote up. I think he did them. Wrote an essay denying free will, couldn't help making a self-refuting argument. This is Jerry Coyne, I think. That's one of them. And I don't know. And then he comes out and then he says, wrote a book asserting consciousness is an illusion. No, Daniel Dennett did not write such a book. Okay, it was Consciousness Explained. I don't think Dennett ever held the position. He never held the strict eliminativist position of the Churchlands. Rather, Dan Dennett talked about the multiple draft theory and made a bunch of other brilliant philosophical work on consciousness. He never said that, but then he expects unconscious people to read it, which is pretty stupid. I mean, these are bad. These are just really fucking bad.
So whose arguments are these? Are you just playing Sal's information, or are you just getting these memes from all
I think
around?
Sal either found these memes or he created them himself. I'm not sure.
Oh, gotcha. So this is Sal's silliness.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then let's see, there's this one. Wrote a book asserting that human intentionality is an illusion, intended to write it. Who the hell is this again? I forget who this is. Damn.
Don't recognize him.
Oh, shit. Well, let's play it.
This gentleman wrote a book asserting that human intentionality is an illusion. But he obviously, that consciousness is an illusion. And he expects unconscious people to read it. I think this one's a little better. This gentleman wrote a book asserting that human intentionality is an illusion. But he obviously intended to write it. So I'm going to cover.
Who the fuck is he?
I do not know.
He's very familiar. Okay, I've seen that face.
Yeah, I've seen that face too. Yeah.
What the hell did he write? Maybe some inside chat will help us.
This really brings home the point that if Sal says something on his channel, do not believe it until you go and you research what he's quoting or alluding to.
Alex Rosenberg?
Yes, I think so.
Sorry, Scott.
Oh,
Is
no
that
problem.
who it is?
That's what it's saying. Essling is saying that in chat.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I'm just saying that people like Sal never intend to give a balanced view of what somebody is saying. So
yeah,
you have to go and do the homework yourself.
Yeah, The Great Illusion by Paul Singh. I'm not sure exactly. I think I own this book, but I can't remember ever reading it. So I don't know if I read the book. The Myth of Free Will, Consciousness, and the Self, and I don't know.
Saying your sense of self, your personhood, is an illusion.
Yeah.
So you as a person, if you think that you're a person, it's an illusion. And that may sound absurd.
Yep.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like he might be summing it up without knowing what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The point is that if you take a purely naturalistic view of your life in terms of the entire fucking universe, being a big deal is kind of an illusion. If you think you're a big deal, you're probably wrong. And the other thing is that there when you really boil it down, a really good way to live your life is to consider that you are never the same person from one second to another. You're constantly modifying. And when you do that, the amazing thing is you're less full of yourself and you're less full of shit because you tend to be a little more humble and you realize that you are changing constantly and your fucking opinions can change and they will change. And that's not a bad thing. You're not some kind of like soul that God created in its entirety, and it like you have to stick to this one little fucking bag of skin, you don't. You can actually care about other people. It doesn't hurt you. It's just, I don't know. Anyway, that's a more Buddhist shit. But do you like
Something
my
that
Buddhist shit there,
big
Jefferson?
mistake that some Christians make is that I am a Christian, therefore I care about people. That that's a non sequitur. Yes, you're a Christian. That means you identify with a particular set of beliefs and practices, but there's a whole lot of work you have to do in many cases to really care about people. And you have to look at where you're at, in that arena. Some people, they care about people just naturally before they were Christians and while they were Christian, but other people have to work to develop that compassion or empathy or whatever it takes.
Right.
And there should be a path to that, not just assume, oh, he's a good guy, he goes to church, that therefore he's a compassionate, caring human being.
Well, that's one of those things that's kind of left over from kind of bad theology. If you have a belief system that basically conditions people into thinking that anything good about the world comes from God and all the bad stuff is the devil or sin or us, a combination of all three, then that gives their belief system, their God, a monopoly on anything good. So all stuff, truth, beauty, all the good kind of transcendental truths apply. And then you watch Christians struggle to deal with the fact that other cultures and other religions also make claims to truth, beauty, goodness, all that other good stuff. So, I think once you get your head into that, and it doesn't take long, they try to instill that when you're a kid. I know any church that I went to when I was a kid, they did that for me. It's hard to deprogram.
I heard Rebecca say, I think it was Rebecca or Sal, they said it yesterday. They said, if these atheists would just understand that, God loves them and we are fiercely and wonderfully made, but we are rotting and degenerating and impure at the same time. We're fiercely and wonderfully made, but we're pieces of shit. They said the curse, but we have the curse. So we're like fiercely and wonderfully made, but we have the curse.
Yeah, that's common. I mean, that's the common thing in Christianity.
That stinks.
It's one of the things that I had a problem with even when I was a kid. I remember hearing this. You hear a lot about God being a redemptive God and Jesus loving us so much that he buys us back from sin, in a manner of speaking, right? He dies for our sins. He pays the ultimate price, but he did it for something worthless, right? And there's tons of stuff in Christian tradition about how lowly I am. What a filthy worm am I? I am a worthless cur. All this kind of like you can't be worthless if it bought you back and it paid its life. You were worth the life of an all-powerful deity, so you're not worthless. So knock that shit right off. But it doesn't.
You just have spiritual body odor,
right? Yeah,
you stink and you're cursed, and you're rotting and you're degenerating.
God created these great computers, but every time we activate, it's just blue screen of death all the time, right? We're like that until Jesus comes in and makes us better.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was having a conversation. I was talking to the last time I talked to Rebecca when I was mean to her. I showed this picture of a bunch of little kids, and they're talking about genetic entropy and how every generation is more mutant than the next. And I'm looking, okay, when you look at a little kid, us older people, adults, real adults, they think, oh, renewed, right? Brand new, slate's clean, brand new kid, new, very healthy, fucking skin looks good, jumping around, playing, they can like jump on one foot and go upside down and do all this stuff that we can't do.
And they can fall down on the ground and hop up.
Yeah, they bounce.
When I fall down on the ground, it takes a committee meeting to
exactly right.
Going to move first.
911 situation, and fucking. I just this genetic entropy. You're thinking of your one generation is more mutant. Every new generation is more mutant than the last one. That's some really fucking weird shit, I think. I mean, that's just an odd way to think about life in general.
We kind of are mutant because we have to take two different parts of our chromosomes from our parents, so to make another thing, so it wouldn't be like a clone.
Okay, I don't know.
Or like everybody, it's like a hybrid themselves. So.
What are
they think that every time that happens, it's a copy of a copy, and we're all degrading over time, right?
That's what they think.
It's kind of a way to thematically square a theory of evolution with their idea of depravity, spiritual depravity. Yeah.
So, okay, the meaning of mutant, the etymology is from to change. And that's what mutate means, to change. It does not mean get worse. That's that's something I think that happened in the 50s when, after the, with the Cold War and the atomic bomb scare and all that shit, they came up with mutants, that's sort of bullshit.
Because it was visual.
Yeah. So we have a totally different colloquial meaning of that word, which is not what the fuck biologists are talking about at all. When they say mutate, they simply mean something changes. That's it. So
yeah, we need to have a mutation so we don't get like overthrown by viruses, like the whole population.
So he gets to the first blog here. So this blog is Shadow to Light, and it's why is that not showing? Oh, I see. I gotta go Chrome full here. Hang on a second. Chrome all. Okay, so it's Shadow to Light, and it's done by some guy named Michael, and I didn't catch his name. And
so if you click on his name, does it take you to something? And you're echoing.
What? Okay, I'm going to get out and get back in. Sorry.
So Jefferson, what's a good word today?
Oh, nothing much. Just work today. I haven't really done anything. Was catching a couple videos with J. Robert and I'm thinking about.
How's it feel to be so you finally came up being a socialist or a communist?
Yeah, that might be one of the better quizzes of that type out there, and it still has a lot of problems. But it labeled me a libertarian socialist. The weird thing is that a guy
libertarian. Wow.
Well, they kind of get some of that from some of those other ones. A libertarian versus an authoritarian, right? Like if I was more on the authoritarian side, I don't think they'd call me a socialist. They'd probably just pull me over into communism if I believed in like a little bit more state kind of top-down hierarchical control. So,
okay. So, am I echoing?
Nope,
not at all. Neither was Jefferson.
Just leave it and get back in. It seems to be the magic bullet. So
yeah, I hate that you have to do that so much.
I know I hate doing that because I got to put myself in the top left. Anyway, so let's see what they say about this. This is an attack on PZ Myers again, I think.
Some of his blogs. It may or may not resonate with you all, but it's very close to my heart.
He's right about that.
Very popular to me personally. So Mike writes this about PZ Myers. Over at his blog, Social Justice Atheist, PZ Myers tries to explain what atheism is. He unknowingly acknowledges that modern day atheism is built on God of the gaps logic. We've had Myers says, we've had the successes of science to undermine belief in God. Materialism seems to work so much better, you know? So atheists and agnostics and even some religious freethinkers manage to mostly kill God. For some reason, atheists have never figured out that the above is a valid move only if the God of the gaps logic is sound. Yet atheists insist that God of the gaps logic is a fallacy. Then Myers proceeds to lay out the moral duty atheists supposedly have. The American Revolution and the
Okay, so then he goes out and talks. P.Z. Myers lays out a whole bunch of stuff from what is it? Humanism? Is that what the new atheists are into? Basically,
you're talking about like by new atheists, are you talking about like Dawkins?
Yeah, Dillahunty.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, yeah, I think most of them are pretty.
Yep.
Aren't uncomfortable saying that they're humanists.
Right. Oh, so Black Lives Matter is something that really gets under their skin, and he mentions that here. So
the evolution of democratic societies in other countries will not be complete until we clean this all up. It ought to be part of the atheist agenda to participate in this transformation. But keep in mind, there are also many theists who will agree with my priorities. And thirdly, it ought to go with.
Okay, every time he did that, I fucking jumped up out of my chair and I spilt my tacos all over the cats.
Man, I bet the cats love you.
Yeah.
Without saying,
But the cats love Sal.
Humanist mission ought to be to uplift the poor and oppressed. Atheists ought to support a universal basic income. We ought to be lining up to agree that Black Lives Matter, equality for women, trans rights, removing the knees, and jackbooted thugs we call police from the backs of the people. Mike responds, laugh out loud. These are delusions in an atheistic reality. If God belief is a delusion, so too is this mushy sense of ought. There's no basis for it beyond the personal sentiments of the believers. Yet Myers builds his whole life around it.
What other basis for it do we have to have other than our personal sentiments of the believers?
Does Sal not like it when somebody says that there are rules to board games?
Yeah.
Like, does he?
Well,
those aren't of God, so that's just those rules are subjective. So, and then just throws it into a bonfire or something like that. Away with you and your idolatry.
Well, when McLean Bible Church came out against Black Lives Matter, or came out in favor of Black Lives Matter and other compassionate things, they become quite triggered. In fact, it tore the church apart right at the seams, because all of this equality for women, while they're afraid to say it out loud, they really think women ought to listen to men in the church, and they've said as much out loud over and over again. If you listen.
Yeah, this is getting kind of weird too, because while like Christian nationalism, or like people who would probably could be identified as Christian nationalists, like through and through, are kind of a minority. I think they represent about maybe 25-30% of Christians. It seems to, and this seems to have really hit like a fever pitch because, just because of Trump. And especially now, he didn't win the election, January 6th and all that kind of reaction to that. It seems like a lot of these churches are going through this thing where it's sort of my way or the highway. And they're being forced into this position where they're either Christian nationalists or they're nothing. They're not Christian, at least from the nationalist side. And then the other denominations are going off and doing their own thing and just sort of like, you're nuts. It doesn't seem to me like Sal's problem with this. Like if P.Z. Myers is saying, okay, we have a philosophy of humanism. From this philosophy, it follows that we ought then do these things, right? There's nothing wrong with saying that. He might say that Sal might have a problem with humanism or something like that, but it's not like P.Z. Myers is just wallowing in an abyss of uncertainty because he's grounding those oughts on a pre-stated philosophy.
Right.
The fact that their church, I think that Sal's former church would agree with them, right? We have this kind of philosophy from our religious convictions. It follows we ought to support Black Lives Matter as a group.
Yeah.
What's Sal's justification for them being wrong? Why does he think they're wrong? Other than just that, I think for him it must be politically icky, like it smacks of liberalism, so he doesn't want anything to do with it, or has he actually thought through why?
Now he's looking at P.Z. Myers as this author, this blogster, as mushy sense of ought. Where does he try to demonstrate that this ought is worse than an ought coming from a Christian?
A God, yeah. I've asserted that there's a God, then that's where I get my oughts from.
What's
Awesome.
mushy about it? Yeah, other than it's proposing things that these so-called compassionate conservative evangelicals are against.
Yeah.
It just seems odd to me that they would. I mean, the capacity that a lot of Christians have some Christians have for getting outraged about this kind of like lack of objectivity and this sort of stuff is like, well, you're doing the same thing. You're starting from your religious convictions, and then from that saying that these are the things one ought to do. There's clear difference. Like most Christians are going to agree that, well, the reason we think murder is bad is because God, they're not going to say God says so, but it's because, God is the foundation for goodness, and he doesn't want you killing another person because that person was also made in the image of him. So don't destroy it, right? Whatever. However they justify it. But once they get into things like this, what's the right thing to do for a church group? Back BLM or denounce them?
Yeah.
There's no, my guess is Sal probably thinks there's an easy answer here, and that's like, oh, well, no, it's objectively clear. God doesn't like BLM.
No.
And what you back, or what you want to take action for or against, that reveals what your actual values are.
Yeah.
All morals are based on some sort of group sense of values. And where does that take you? You're against Black Lives Matter. Why? What are you valuing here? A lot of times they won't speak it, but it's white supremacy,
Yeah.
And that's the thing is white people, especially wealthy white people, have privileges that they don't think about until somebody runs right up against that privilege. And then suddenly you have Karens screaming in the streets.
Yep.
Sounds of screaming Karens.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that McLean Bible Church, according to Sal, he showed up a graph of their attendance. Apparently, it just tore it to pieces because they had a black minister that was pretty passionate about the George Floyd thing. And he was one of the people that were elected to be in charge. And apparently their attendance just went way down and a whole bunch of stuff. So pretty amazing. And it's a powerful church, too. It's located in Virginia, I think. And its mission is to influence congressmen, to vote the Christian way. So they really shattered their... It's amazing when the Christians fight. Speaking of which, this is an aside, but I got a call from midnight, at around midnight on Saturday night, who told me that apparently Enoch and Will are going to have a fist fight. Have you heard about this?
What?
Yeah, apparently Smokey's going to pay the airfare so that Enoch and Will can get together and fight it out in the alley or in the schoolyard. I guess in the schoolyard after school, I think. And I don't know what the fuck is going on with that, but anyway, so
are they doing this for charity or something? How are they going to get away with that?
No, they're planning on doing this for.
This is like they've turned into the Muppet Babies version of themselves,
right?
Except they're not babies; they're like 10-year-olds, maybe junior high or something like that. And now they're going to have a rumble. It's
and I don't know who's instigated this, probably Smokey. But anyway, so I went over and looked at the stream where Will was talking about it. And he says, oh, I'm just going to go punch him in the nose and that's going to be the end of it. But I think Knock is like 6'5". But anyway, who the fuck cares about that? The thing was, I went over to that stream and right in the middle of, right between Will and Smokey is midnight, sitting there, sucking dick as usual. And I'm like, okay, dude. First of all, you call me on a Saturday night to tell me that Enoch and Will are having a fight. And second, I go over to the stream and there you are. And I have tried to talk to him about this. I don't know. Anyway, I was a little irritated to say the least.
Yeah, I don't understand what's going on there. That's weird.
It was all weird. But anyway, Will had a little short stream about it where he was talking to Smokey and Midnight about how I don't know where this stuff materialized. I don't know how much Knock is participating in this. Please, Knock, do not fucking play with this bullshit. But you can't hold back water. Just when it's raining. Anyway, so there's that. That's just an aside. But let's see. I was going to put the link to this one blog article in my esteemed description, right? As I should.
Yes.
What were you going to put in your description?
I don't know. Let me continue. Let's play some more of this.
He's passionate about it. He comes to us as a true believer in his own sense of moral duty. He comes as a crusader, yet he mocks those who believe in God. I'm amused.
That's kind of a nothing
So
blog.
let me comment on this a little bit.
Yeah, as blog entries go, that's
It's very hard to say, I don't believe in God. Therefore, we have moral sense of duty. It doesn't follow.
Why?
It's a
Why the fuck can't you have moral sense of duty if you don't believe in God? I wish they'd explain that to me.
It's always a good question. Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't know if you grow up where
Can I walk you through my thought process about how I make moral decisions or moral decisions to act anyway? It's like, I really care about those people out there on downtown where they're sleeping in tents and they don't have a place to go, and do they have enough food to eat? There's even children down there. That makes me feel sad. I think I need to gather together some basic materials and go pass them out to the homeless.
Yeah.
That's what I ought to do, because I'm feeling compassion that draws me towards doing an act that will increase the likelihood that others will benefit.
But it only counts as a good act if you do it in the name of Jesus. Otherwise, you might as well just go down there and kill them all. As far as that's concerned, you're not going to heaven.
Yeah, so. it's all relative. What you do.
Sal
it's about the
wants to be
values
binary, black and white with his mind.
Who is Sal talking to?
He's talking to his flock.
Himself.
His flock.
Oh, okay.
He's got cell secondary and cell primary on.
I was going to say, a following of one.
Yeah, okay. Cell primary turns into a semi-tractor.
Okay, he's got some kind of a computer that when he is streaming, if he Googles at the same time, if he actually types into the search bar, it robots his voice. I don't know what kind of a computer does that. My watch could do better than that. My Apple Watch could run circles around that shit. I don't know.
Okay, you just roboted.
I did?
Yeah, you just roboted there just for a quick one word.
I think it was you. Well, yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
No shit. Well, hell, who knows?
Yeah,
anyway,
I didn't hear it.
I wasn't
Googling. Just on my end.
Okay, I wasn't Googling, so I don't know. Anyway.
It's your bionic ears, Jefferson.
Jay doesn't have an iPhone, so.
Jay, you got an
loser.
No, I have a Samsung S21.
Oh, ick.
I think God equals the square root of -1 has summed it up for us. We've had some pretty wise sayings here. There was nerdy rodent, and now there's God equals the square root of -1.
Religion has given people hope in a world torn apart by religion.
They're trying to get you to match up speed with Jungle Jargon in a fight.
Oh my God!
Oh yeah, me and Jungle Jargon. Yeah. Okay, it would take Jungle about 5 minutes to figure out that I was in the room.
Hey, while you're at it, Speed, you might as well just save yourself the time and pick a fight with a wall.
Yeah, exactly.
The wall will be smarter.
More of a threat.
Yeah.
I don't know what I want to do with one of these guys. And this is an open challenge. I want to have a foot race, but I can only make it a half a block because I smoke 6 packs a day. But I can make that half a block really fucking fast. But then, of course, I would collapse into a heap of huffing and puffing. But pretty quick. So foot race, dudes. Foot race or no? 3-legged. Okay. Who the fuck could we get? Scott, are you in? We could do where you tie the gunny sack around the 3-legged race. That's it. We could do that.
3-legged race. Yeah, I've heard of those. I've participated in them. So
yeah,
what have you?
And you know why I want to do this? It's because as an atheist without morals, I don't think we should be hitting each other. I don't know. I think a foot race would be a better way to solve these problems, right? Just me.
The deontological ethics is don't hit. Your duty is to run.
Yeah,
would there be a speed chess tournament or a Sudoku tournament or something like that? If you're more cerebral as a person,
I think you guys are going about this the wrong way. You're kind of trying to de-escalate it, escalate it. Pistols at dawn. Old school.
okay.
Yeah, okay. Oh, snowball fight. Snowball. Oh, shit.
With Berettas.
So, okay, can I? Yeah, I got to tell a story. So when I was like 20, I don't know. No shit, I was like 17 years old. We went out to this Native American reservation, right, where basically white kids shouldn't go. And we went to a party, and I got shit faced, and I got so shit faced that I don't remember any of this, but my friend was telling me about it. But I was leaning up against the wall, and I had these sunglasses on and this big leather jacket on, somebody else's leather jacket. And I was just leaning there, and this big Native American dude comes up to me. He's about twice my size. And he says, "Think you're pretty tough, huh?" And I said, "Yep." And he kept asking me questions about, "So you think you're tougher than me?" And "Yep." And "You want to step outside and see who's tougher?" And I'm, "Yep." And I walked outside ahead of the guy, and they said it was like fucking watching lightning. I ran so fast. It was like fucking gone. I wasn't going to fight this fucking guy. He was the size of a fucking elephant, It's just like, but anyway, and I remember a lot of that, but that was an incredible trip. I won't tell you. No, I won't tell you the rest of it. Okay.
Well, I mean, if you change the names to protect the innocent,
I don't think there's any way to do this. I'm one of the names. Anyway.
Well, all this talk makes me want to go back and watch the Anchorman.
Yeah. I experienced hell that weekend. Because the next morning, hungover as hell, we were driving back, and I was like, they threw me in the car, and I woke up, and it was like 90 degrees out, and the car was like 120 degrees, and we had decided that salt in our beer was a really good thing, so we stole salt shakers from this restaurant. We were salting our beer all night, so I was not only hungover, but I was fucking dehydrated as hell, and I woke up in the backseat of this car with Rodney driving, who didn't have a license, going 60 miles an hour across northern Minnesota. And the only thing to drink was warm, like 110 degree Pfeiffer's beer. And so I took a drink, and I remember thinking, okay, I understand hell now. I know hell. It's like,
is that brand of beer even around anymore? Because that sounds like it must have been regional. I've never heard of that one.
It was regional. It was like brewed in St. Paul, and it cost like for $1.20 in the empties, you could get a case of it. Oh, it was like just rot gut beer. It was 3.2. Pfeiffer's 3.2, 110 degrees.
You guys are adding salt. Last I checked, you add salt to beer, it starts to just blow up.
Oh, it foams. Yeah. It brings out a head of foam.
You're chugging the shit out of it.
Right, you're just supposed to put a little bit of salt in, but of course you give me a salt shaker and I don't know what a little bit means.
Well, the guys, when I was in Fort Drum, the guys showed me how to do. They called it a Mexican Boilermaker. You can get a Corona, a salt packet, your lemon, and your shot of tequila, and you put the lemon in the Corona, and you open up the salt packet, and then you take the shot of tequila, then you dump the salt packet into the Corona, and then you basically end up chugging 3/4 or chasing the shot of tequila with 3/4 of a Corona.
Yeah, and that's how to protect vomit.
I did 5 of those.
Yeah.
Didn't throw up.
Oh my god!
Wow.
No, because I with tequila, it was always a rule of mine that if I mixed anything other than, like, I could have tequila and beer, that's fine, but tequila and any other liquor, instant chunks.
Yeah. Okay. So I wonder if there's any more of this blog, or should we go on to the next blog? Where the fuck am I? I'm at 19. Okay, 22. I think he starts another one. Oh, even worse is if atheism, materialism is true, then there's no argument against theism and religiosity, since they would be the result of naturalistic process and a highly successful one. So what the? So I was trying to figure out what the fuck they were talking about. Apparently, let's see now. If
So
it's true,
theism comports. So theism doesn't. So religion comports best with nature, not with the natural, not the supernatural. Is that what the point of that is, or?
I don't know. Okay, it's true. Then there's no argument against theism. Oh, he was talking about how, and Sal went on to talk a little bit about how being religious is it gives you a better fitness advantage, that you have more offspring if you're religious. Something
Said that to all the couples that can't have children that believe in God. How?
But keep in mind what that means, though. That means if you're religious, you don't have to believe in God to be religious. You could be dedicated to the church. You know, maybe you're one of those guys that, you know, you hook up with a woman, she's very much into the church and she believes in God. You don't. You say what you need to say in order to be with her and to make her happy. You don't want to make her upset. You go along with church. You do what you're supposed to do. You don't have a problem with most of the things. You know, obviously, you know, if you're not a murderer or anything like that. Yeah, hell, even if you are, as long as you don't get caught. You can be completely religious. So there might be something to that. Yeah. If you can fake it until you make it kind of thing with religion, yeah, you might have a better chance of, you know, having a successful marriage and producing kids. But that doesn't have anything to do with whether or not you legitimately believe what that religion's talking about.
She could be one of those idiots that believe contraception is a sin.
Yeah.
You know?
Have more offspring. Yeah, if it's like, well, you know, you have better chances of having a bigger family if you marry a Catholic woman. No shit. I could also marry a Mormon woman too, right? Like,
yeah.
Marry 3 Mormon women.
Yeah, easy now. Somewhere their lawyers are preparing some documents for you, Jay, for that comment.
The intrinsic irony of P.Z. Myers and posturing for morality, moral posturing. Well, let's see. If God's belief is okay, did we cover this?
No.
I'm not sure if we did. Okay, let's see what he does with this one.
Atheist P.Z. Myers and its intrinsic irony. These are delusions. Okay, this is Mike writing earlier. These are delusions in an atheistic reality. If belief is a delusion, so too is this mushy sense of ought. There's no basis for it beyond personal sentiments of the believers. Yet Myers builds his whole life around it. He's passionate about it. He comes to us as a true believer in his own sense of moral duty. He comes as a crusader, yet mocks those who believe in God.
Yeah, these people are just fucking dumb that they don't realize that everybody has a moral sense of right and wrong.
No, I think it's interesting. Well, they're mocking a belief in God. Do you know that the easiest way to find a group of Christians that make fun of? I mean, if you want to see some ridiculing of Christians, find a group of other Christians. Right, listen to them tear into Catholics or you know, the cults, Seventh-day Adventists, J-Dubbers. I mean, Yeah, and then Sal can get back to me with this whole like he's just doing this, and then he's making fun of belief in God. You guys do.
Yeah,
Christians do it all the time.
we do. And yet I don't murder people. I don't get it. How does that work? Why don't I just run out and murder people every time I make fun of Jesus?
It follows, right? You don't have a moral standard.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I just run right out there and start shooting shit. Oh my goodness. Anyway, fuck this guy. Enough of that.
The thing is that what they say is that that what the laws would necessarily entail by you doing that. So, but you honestly want to do that.
Oh yeah, I really want to. Really,
Don't
really
lie
want
and tell us that you want to just, be like.
Yeah.
You just reminded me of that stupidity from Jill's channel yesterday.
The contradiction one, the appeal to common sense, and then appealing to one has to be educated in Hebrew idiom in order to interpret scripture.
No, when he and Becca were trying to criticize my opinion I was bringing up an analogy with you and Slim Jim from weeks ago about someone who believes in Jesus and wants to be a Christian or is a Christian, self-identifies as one, but has a really tough time with Matthew saying, this is a person who has same-sex attraction, avoids sex because they know that it's wrong per their religion, but still has the desire to do it and is conflicted, and they're worried that the desire to do it is just as bad of a sin. I brought that example up. Jill brought it up in his video, and guess what Veckel said? No, we're only worried about. They took it out of context and said, if you've got somebody that's affirming a homosexual lifestyle, then they're not a Christian. So it's easy. And I'm like, no, I didn't say that they were affirming it. The Christian that I brought up is avoiding sex.
Right.
So yeah, I got a bone to pick with those two morons. At first, they played a clip where I said like Veckel's a fucking idiot, and I was like, that sounds a little harsh. And then he takes me completely out of context. I'm like, no, that was right. He's a fucking idiot.
Yep. Well, anyway, that's all I got, guys. I got
That's all you got?
That's all.
Yeah,
I
we're
got.
just gonna. I'm gonna sign off and Speed will, and we can just let you and your brother just chit chat.
Yeah.
No, that's
You don't mind, do you?
I honestly don't have much to contribute. I spent this morning wrestling with a king size mattress, which is like wrestling with a body.
I know it's. I've just vowed to hire people to do it. Find a neighborhood kid, give them a few bucks, and here, move that.
Hauling a mattress upstairs, like fucking hauling this floppy, like fucking ball of. It's not even like hauling a ball of dough upstairs. It just flops around. It's just a bit.
Yeah, it plops around at the most inconvenient moment.
Well, this doesn't have any this isn't an inner spring mattress, so.
Right.
It's just solid. It's a latex mattress, and it's done like a bed in a box. So it's tightly rolled, and it's in this box. So it's not so much as difficult to get through the door. It's like basically if you compressed 170-pound body, wrapped it in plastic, shoved it in a box, and then you got to drag it through your house.
Yeah.
Hey,
I was thinking
you die before you have a chance to use it.
Yeah. I'm beat. Because once I got the damn thing unrolled, then I had to wrestle the damn thing onto the bed frame. I'm like, move, you fat fuck.
I like Scott's suggestion though, because like if you find like a neighbor kid, just somebody younger, but they're like a gamer, like are you strong? Like, no, I'm weak. Yeah, but you're young, right? You'll heal. Get over here and lug this thing around for me.
Yeah.
I damage myself lugging this thing around. That's permanent.
I was trying to make the conceptual bridge from floppy mattresses to atheists with ungrounded morality, but I couldn't find it.
Our morality is as floppy as those mattresses.
Or what did Smokey said that your grounding, he told Wildheart his grounding was like shifting sands or floating clouds. And I'm like, why didn't you just say sands and clouds? Obviously, it's like Jesus Christ. Smokey, he can't be without his adjectives before the nouns.
He has to show them off. He feels so smart.
Yeah.
Actually, it might make more sense to ground morality in an analogy if you're talking about grounded morality. If it's set in an analogy of sand because it's easy to, you build a little sand castle, and then, if you need to change things, you can, and then build it again. Quick and
Hey,
easy.
Joe, what was funny about Jill's stream yesterday was he actually mentioned, because Slim Jim asked me in Jill's live chat if I was going to start up a live stream, and it came right on the heels of Jill saying, "Yeah, I bet Jay is going to be revving up his live stream to review this video."
To be fair, he was right. I saved you.
Well, no. Oh, well, yeah. I mean, I did it the one time, but yeah, and then I realized after catching little bits and a little bit more of it, when Jim asked me that, I wrote to Jim. I said, "Nah, there's nothing here worth reviewing."
It usually isn't.
I was like, the only thing I would point out is the way he because Jim asked him that question again about reading. Okay, if I read the scriptures this way and I get this interpretation, and you're telling me that that's not the interpretation that I should be getting, how is it that the Bible interprets itself? And then Jill basically said, he said, "Oh, you just use common sense." And then the conversation continued a little bit, and then he started talking about being educated in Hebrew idiom. I'm like, you just appealed to common sense, you idiot.
Yeah, not a lot of most people in their inventory of common sense are going to go, "Oh yeah, well, Hebrew idiom would show that."
Yeah,
this
exactly.
section's not meant to be taken literally. This part is hyperbole, but this part is definitely literal. The part where he doesn't like gays, have to take that completely literal.
The shrimp thing, not so much.
Slaughtering of the Amalekites were hyperbole. Didn't really mean it. It's just tough talk.
He didn't mean it.
I told that guy, Samuel, or this guy that was on Brojo's, he was arguing with Peter. And I told him, I said, because he was using the war rhetoric argument when it came to those particular verses. And I told him, I was like, this is really weak. This is just some weak ass. This is just weak. I mean, you see this mentioned multiple times in the Old Testament, in the Old Testament scriptures about the particular individuals that are that God, the standing rule for these particular Canaanite nations that the Hebrews would just, none of them would be allowed to live, right? Men, women, kids, their livestock, everybody, everything wiped out.
I think, well, there is something to the claim of the idea of hyperbole in the language, but what these guys seem to be like, oh yeah, well that's just they don't really know when to stop. The reason that's there, that kind of works if you're like an Old Testament scholar, you're evaluating the language because that's how people wrote, right? So they're putting that stuff in there. But these guys will turn around and say, well, yeah, there you go. There's an explanation for it. So God inspired it, but these people larded it up with their, their pro wrestling hype man personas when they were, they were just they were a little high strung.
Yeah, the way I countered it was I said, okay, if it was war rhetoric, why is there specific scriptures in it when it comes to like with the Amalekites that God was regretting making Saul king and was disappointed with the fact that Saul did not
didn't kill people. He didn't kill enough people.
Kill all the Amalekites. And then Samuel, and he goes, well, yeah, and then the guy told me, he goes, well, yeah, because he left the royalty alive, and that was the whole thing. Some of those people got adopted into the Jewish society and blah, 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 blah. And I said, no, the royalty didn't. I said, King Agag didn't go free. Samuel cut him out. Was that war rhetoric? And he goes, oh, what? I said, you need to go back and you need to read those again. Because apparently you don't know everything that's going on there. And then when I told him that it's found later in the Old Testament where David finished finding the Amalekites and finished wiping them all out, I was like, yeah, that's later on, by the way. I think that's in Jeremiah, where it talks about David having found the rest of the Amalekites and killed them off.
Yeah, you might be right.
By the way, did anybody catch Myth Vision's Book of Enoch and its mysterious connections to Jesus in the New Testament?
Yeah, I didn't catch it. That's on my to-do list. He was talking with Jason, is it Farrow from Dragons and something? Gosh, I'm bad at remembering. But yeah, he wasn't like talking with a scholar, but what Jason was telling him is mainstream pretty much.
Yeah, it's right here. It's so anyway, I hadn't heard any of that. Dragons of Genesis. That's the guy.
Dragons of Genesis.
Yeah. Anyway, that was really interesting.
Yeah, he's a smart guy, Jason. So he's always worth a listen to.
Yeah, I'm going to stick that in the description because I think that's a really good listen for anybody. And Myth Visions, just in general, is the place to get educated about all this bullshit. I think biblical stuff. Yeah,
he's real focused and ambitious. I mean, he has talked to a lot of scholars. He's got a big list of interviews.
I'm waiting for my co-host to bring me some good material on that.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I'm just
I'm the same way.
I'm old and slow. I'm like molasses in the winter.
Yeah, I'd rather read my fucking books and sit and talk about them, and educate everybody and stuff. But
I'd rather watch Jack Reacher and catch up on movies. I'm on my second watch through of the new Jack Reacher series. I just couldn't get enough of it.
I'm having a little trouble with that series. I'm only like 2 episodes deep, 2 or 3.
It
seems like some really shitty writing. I don't know. I'm not.
Maybe it is. I don't know. But for some reason, I'm just into the whole Jack Reacher series anyway.
Okay.
It is pretty true to the books.
Yeah. The book is the way it's written is very like almost like in singles, just like one sentence. One sentence.
Yeah. It is not a complicated read or listen. I usually listen to the audiobooks of Lee Child stuff, and
he kicked that guy's ass. Then he broke that guy's arm.
Yeah, exactly.
Jack Reacher is basically Superman if he were created by Ernest Hemingway.
Yeah.
So I guess I have a problem with him. Like going to this small town and the cops, arrest him for no good fucking reason, and then they let him participate in the police force for no good reason and give him a gun for really bad reasons and shit like that. I will keep trying, Scott.
Well, he got the gun from the female officer, and that was a Desert Eagle 50 caliber. It wasn't exactly a police handgun.
Yeah, and what you're saying about the whole Jack Reacher thing there is absolutely true. I mean, that's the way it goes in the books too. Yeah, he gets involved in shit that nobody else would, but he's such a badass.
Yeah, he'll try and do something like, I got to get this done, and then that will, like, even in the books, you'd end up reading 2 chapters about how he got waylaid because there was assholes after him, and he had to kill him and dispose of the bodies or something like that.
Yeah,
so right, dude.
I didn't read them in order. The first one I read was probably like I think it was Persuader, which is
Yeah, it was because you recommended it to me.
But the Killing Floor is probably like the newest ones that his brother is mostly writing. Those ones I've heard are the sloppiest. But out of all of them, Killing Floor was actually the one that was the most problematic because he hadn't quite figured out the character. The one thing they didn't do in the show, the end of the book, Jack Reacher cries. And it's like, I remember reading, I'd read like 2 or 3 books before I was like, wait, I'm going to get these. I'm going to read them in order. So I got a bunch of them, got them all in order and started reading that one. And I was like, like I said, I'd already read at least Persuader and I think like One Shot, which is what they based the Tom Cruise movie on. And I'm reading this one and I get to a point where it's like, he's tearing up. He doesn't cry. Like what the? So yeah, Killing Floor had the most, Killing Floor probably has the most plot holes in it too.
It's the first novel. It was written in 1997.
Yeah. So, but
that's the first Reacher novel.
I'm anxious to like. It's been a huge hit for Prime. I've read some of the industry stuff. They're definitely doing more. So, book number 2 is getting adapted.
Is it book number 2, or are they they're picking it like the actor Alan Ritchson said he'd like to do Bad Luck and Trouble, which is a good choice because it involves his team from back in the Army. So there's a lot more characters that you can have character development.
That one might be pretty good. Yeah, you're right, Scott. Because then that gives a little bit more background to him.
Yeah, I think
There's
that's
also
the only.
that.
I think that's the only one that's like a prequel too, isn't it? Because there's
Mhm.
two or
I
three
think
short
there's a second
stories.
prequel, but I'm not sure.
Night
Hey.
School. You're right.
Night School, yeah. I remember that one. Now I can't remember the title. I can remember plots, but not titles. But there was the one where they go up against this basically a militia, and his general. I can't remember the general's last name. Was part of it, and a bunch of FBI agents. So that has a pretty good plot that could be put into a screenplay, and it has characters within which you can get to know and develop.
Before we leave that subject, Peacemaker. I don't know, but okay, I had high hopes for the cow, but when I actually saw the cow was like better than anything I ever could have imagined.
Yeah.
My favorite part, without spoiling it for anybody. Well, I mean, I don't think
Yeah.
it is the sounds, the milking sounds.
Oh, the milking sound.
Like
Oh,
this is so typically James Gunn. Of course, it's being milked right now. And it looks like it hurts it. Like, of course you put that in there. You sick fucker.
Yeah.
Well, the main thing in the movie Suicide Squad is a giant interstellar starfish.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I should have expected. Yeah, but the cow looked like I imagined it, but he did such a better job than
it looked like. It looked like somebody took some kind of inbred from the backwoods of West Virginia and turned it into that.
Right.
I mean, his face just looks like it's a very troubled, mentally disabled person.
It kind of looked like one of the brain bugs, but turned into a Funko Pop.
Yeah.
The brain bugs from Starship Troopers. Hey, speaking of James Gunn, have you seen Slither?
I think fill me in. I probably saw him. Probably forgot.
He did it. Gunn did it after. Oh God, I can't remember. It's before Guardians of the Galaxy. I think.
Yeah, it is.
It's a horror movie. It's based in the South. It's sort of a meteorite hits the ground and it kind of takes over a guy, and it's sort of like a kind of a zombie, body snatchers
Invasion of the body snatchers.
But James Gunn wrote and directed it. It's kind of lower budget. Nathan Fillion's in it. He's like kind of the local sheriff. Michael Rooker is sort of patient zero. He's like the town. I don't know if he's like
I'm seeing it. Yeah. Yes, it's fucking excellent.
Elizabeth
Okay.
Best line in that is when they finally see that guy and he's changed, and the old guy goes, "It looks like something that fell off my dick during the war."
Yeah, you can definitely tell. It's not quite as like it's not as intentionally vulgar, I think, as Peacemaker, but it's up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the outtakes, Nathan Fillion, there's an outtake at the end when they're walking out of the house after everything is said and done. Nathan Fillion's walking and goes, I think I have a dark gift in my pants.
Okay.
Speaking of Slither, I always get excited when y'all talk about Slither, but then it's the wrong one, because I remember back in the 70s, I was home late one summer night and they were playing movies on the TV late at night, and a movie called Slither came on, and it has like James Caan and Peter Boyle, and do you remember Sally Kellerman? And it's just it's kind of a drama comedy kind of thing, and it was just one of the funniest movies I ever watched, and I don't know why I remember it that way, but maybe I'll have to go back and try to find a copy of it or something.
James Caan's in it?
James Caan, yeah, he played the lead role.
Okay.
It's called Slither from 1973, and I think tonight I will try to find it and watch it. It's not science fiction. It's just a funny movie. Yeah.
Speaking of which, this will probably I'll probably lose some people here. Because it's been away for a while, you had to rent it. But if you want a movie that's probably the best distillation of how Hollywood does like music biopics, or any kind of like celebrity biopic. Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story. Streaming on Amazon. It is incredibly corny. It does have some laugh out loud funny parts, and it is extremely corny. But everything from the fonts they choose, the lighting that they choose, everything about it. Watch that movie, and even if you hate it, all 90 minutes of it, watch it, and then watch, say, a trailer for that. What was that? Respect, the new Aretha.
I was about to say Walk the Line.
Or that, yeah. Watch one of those, or turn on Bohemian Rhapsody. It follows the exact same. It hits all the same marks, all of them.
Jenna Fisher's in Walk Hard.
Yeah, she plays kind of the Rosemary Cash kind of, or who was Hank Williams' Squeeze? I can't remember who his
I do not know.
I'm blanking. But yeah, he's sort of like an amalgamation of Johnny Cash, Hank Williams Sr., and maybe Roy Orbison. And I won't tell you any more about it. If you find it on Prime, it's not a long movie. It's fucking genius.
Yeah, let's see.
It was actually brought up in somebody's essay. They were like, I couldn't figure out why I wasn't really thrilled with Bohemian Rhapsody when I heard it was getting all this Oscar buzz. And then I watched Walk Hard with the Dewey Cox story and realized I was watching the same damn movie. And his essay goes into like, it hit every single beat. Like these guys like completely nailed it. Like all these biopics do the same thing, like the tragic backstory, the, bootstrapping yourself into success, substance abuse or tragedies,
Well, I'm gonna have to watch that. I'm on episode 130 of The Office, and I have totally fallen in love with the character Pam.
Oh yeah,
it's really sad. It's really pathetic.
I can't remember. I don't know that I had my favorite character in that was probably
Dwight.
No, it was probably the older dude.
Creed.
Creed, yeah, because it's this.
Yeah,
he's playing himself.
He's playing himself. Yeah, I know. It's fucking cool. Yeah,
he's so fucking weird. He's like, yeah, with sprouting beans in there or something like that. He's like, yeah, my death smells like death. And oh my god, he was my favorite character. He was so weird.
Yeah, and he talks about burying bodies and all kinds of. He's some kind of fucking criminal. I think something happens in the later. I don't know. I got 64 episodes left, but
him and Mose.
Mose is just creepy as fuck.
Yeah.
Jesus. Oh, when he's running alongside the car, I couldn't believe that fucking. That was creepy. It's horrible. Anyway, CRISPR-Cas9 is going to have a conversation on junk DNA with Sal Cordova, and my prediction is that Sal Cordova is, speaking of Slither and Slimy, Sal Cordova is going to agree with everything he says.
Oh, when's that conversation taking place? Is that going to be on Sal's channel?
Yeah, in 3 days, and I've linked it in my description if anybody gives a fuck about my description, which I work so hard.
Oh, I'll watch it. I'll watch it because the first time I ever monitored or what's the term I'm thinking of?
CRISPR and SFT? Are you talking about that one?
It was CRISPR. It was CRISPR and Jungle Jargon. That was the moderator.
Oh no!
Talking about the flood, and I gave them both, both mods so they could put up their whatever, PowerPoint, whatever sources they wanted to display. They could do all of it, and for the entire fucking debate, Jungle Jargon, I don't think he threw up one fucking thing. CRISPR threw up a bunch of stuff. Jungle Jargon just
yeah, that's kind of the way it goes.
He basically did the doubting Thomas throughout the entire thing.
Yeah, I don't know how this is gonna go because CRISPR is kind of like he's kind of like a shredder. he's not exactly he doesn't take any bullshit, so I don't know how this is going to go. The only way it can go is Sal's going to say, "Oh, you got a good point there." Yeah, I'll have to think about that. I don't know. We'll see.
And they'll talk shit about him later, or say what he didn't say, or what I was hoping he'd say was,
they will do an after show. I guarantee it.
Yeah, what you're waiting for is how much smack talk, how much shit talking is going to be coming from that side, from Sal's side of the debate after that little conversation. If you want to call it debate, conversation, whatever, but either way, there'll be some shit talking afterward.
Yeah, when the shredder's no longer in the room.
And then, yeah, but remember, if we start talking shit on our side of the freaking, atheists, non-believers, whoever, start talking shit about the shit that they were presenting. Oh, these guys are so immoral, such assholes, such morons. If they knew God, they wouldn't be saying this shit. Wait, you said we do know God. Well, your denial is getting in the way.
Yeah.
I remember that debate. I drank a bunch of tequila. That was from CRISPR.
Yeah, you need that with Jungle. Yep.
So do we have a date and time for that?
That is February. It's 9 p.m. on the 17th, whenever that is. That'll be on the 17th. It'll be sometime after now, I think.
Well, that will be interesting to watch.
Hey, now is Valentine's Day, right? Isn't it today?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, today's that holiday.
Obviously, nobody here is in a relationship or gives a fuck about it.
I guess I'm the latter. Thanks, Speed.
Okay. Anyway,
I've only been married over 20 years, so yep, I guess it's the latter.
Yeah, it's the latter.
Speed just lays it out like, and either we're all single or those of us who aren't are actively looking for a breakup. So
yeah. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna get out of here if you guys are gonna shoot it in the head. So
yeah, we're gonna shoot in the head. I was gonna do some science stuff on cat herons, but I don't have the fucking heart for it anymore. You guys took it right out of me, man.
I'm sorry. We shouldn't have talked about Jill. I blame Jay. I'll see you guys later.
Okay.
Bye.
Thought about first,
yeah, we're gonna shoot. Yeah, I just mentioned the only thing I wanted to say about cat herons is they're little proteins that stick out of the cell and they glue themselves together like with like, and they keep your cells together in something called epithelial tissue, which is like your skin. And one of the things that goes wrong in cancer is your cancer cells are dividing like crazy. So obviously they have a lot of mutations. Well, if one of these fucking mutations ends up screwing up anything about those cat herons, the epithelial tissue melts and you end up with a malignant, migrating, metastasizing cancer. And I thought it was kind of interesting, but there's a whole lot of interesting stuff about cat herons and integrins and different proteins that hold your cells together and sort of create the body that you are. And someday I will talk about those, but not today because I don't give a fuck. Anyway.
Well, I did not come with a link because I just now recalled it. There was a timeline video from the Timeline channel. It's a history thing that presented a really interesting line of research where they believe they've discovered a mutation that people who got the bubonic plague back during those plague times and survived it, and those who never got it at all, even though they were surrounded by people with bubonic plague,
right,
had started to get a mutation called Delta 32, which basically it didn't allow the bubonic plague to attack you like it would other people.
Yeah, didn't that cause really bad blisters on your skin?
Bubonic plague, oh yeah.
Yeah, so that's what happens when cat heron. If you have a mutation that screws with cat heron, your skin will just blister like crazy.
Oh, okay, that's very interesting.
So
Well, I didn't know it was related. I was just thinking about things, but then down the line, of course, people reproduce, and it turns out that people who contracted AIDS or were exposed to the AIDS virus but never contracted it, or who were a lot slower to deteriorate through full-blown AIDS or something like that, also had that Delta 32 mutation. And it would get into, I guess, what white cells or whatever, AIDS would, right, and wreak havoc. And what happened was a protective barrier, let's just call it, would be created for that the white cells up against the AIDS virus. And so we've, it's actually tracked through, taking samples from bodies and things like that, and showing that basically if one parent had the Delta 32, then you're a lot more likely to survive the disease. If both parents had the Delta 32, you were most likely to not even get it.
So what is the percentage of the population that has this variant?
I'm thinking 1%, 2%, but yeah. I'll tell you what, if you can keep on discussing for a few minutes, I'll go try to find that in my history.
Oh, that's going to be almost impossible to do. Why don't we look it up for tomorrow or so? Or
sure. No problem.
Yeah, because I think I want to shoot it in the head. I'm getting that feeling. But anyway, understanding how cells are shaped the way they're shaped and how they stick together and how they change over time is really cool. It's a really cool story, and that's what I've been doing for days and days and days. And I keep doing it. Someday I'll tell you about it. I don't know. Anyway. So what do you think? Shoot her in the head? Boys and girls?
Yeah, I guess so.
I guess.
I think
if you want to go, let's shoot in the head.
I like shooting her in the head.
Yep. Stay curious.
Favorite part of the day. So we'll be back Wednesday. Maybe we'll do. God, I've been feeling like streaming and almost getting to the point where I do it, and I did that all weekend. I almost did Sonata, and I just I've been busy with other things, so I'll try harder. I don't know. My poor little channel, she dying. Anyway, okay, guys, we're gonna shoot her in the head. As soon as I can find the thing. Goodbye, cruel world.